So, very good afternoon to all. In today's class, we will be going through the judicial system in India, or Indian judiciary to be called as. Judicial system in India, or Indian judicial system to be called as Indian judicial system. We know that judiciary is one of the organ of the constitution as well as the system post the legislation, executive, and that is judiciary. It's one of the organ, and this organ is very important in context that this organ happens to be very independent in nature. Independent in nature. In what terms it is independent? That is, in its functioning, it is independent. The function of the legislation is to make law, whereas the function of the executive is to execute those laws, to implement those laws. And the very function of judicial system is to provide the natural justice. In providing natural justice, judiciary happens to be independent from the legislature and the executive, unlike the legislature and the executive, which are not independent in terms to each other. They are highly dependent upon each other, correct, in terms of their functioning. But in terms of functioning, judiciary happens to be independent, means no role of legislation in judicial function, whereas no role of executives in judiciary function. Reason behind, until and unless it will not be independent, it won't be in a position to provide a very impartial judgment. So, to provide impartial judgment, the judiciary has to be independent. Beside this, when it comes to judiciary, judiciary is interrelated or interlinked with its three system in hierarchy to be called as Supreme Court, High Court, and subordinate court. Supreme Court at central level, High Court at the state level, and the subordinate court at the district level. They are linked to each other in such a way in terms of hierarchy that they are integrated to each other. That is, Supreme Court takes care of High Court, High Court takes care of the subordinate court. It means subordinate court is under the supervision of the High Court and High Court is under the supervision of the Supreme Court. Supreme Court happens to be the apex body in the Indian judiciary. So all these three are integrated to each other. So it's integrated also. Integrated also. That's why these three eyes is the special features of Indian judicial system. A special feature. A special feature or characteristics of the Indian judicial system. Three eyes: independent, impartial, and integrated system to be called as. Now, first of all, let's move into understand the very constitutional aspect of the Indian judicial system and the reason behind why I have not taken the Supreme Court while going through the union the High Court and the subordinate court by going to the state in polity. Reason behind that, if taken independently in other chapters, the very understanding or comparative analysis between Supreme Court and the High Court and the subordinate court would have been missed. Here the very purpose of taking all three in single go in comparison to each other, only to make a better understanding between these three organs of the judiciary. Got it? So let's understand the very constitutional aspect of the judicial system in India. If we discuss about this, the very constitutional aspect, then there exists Supreme Court, there exists High Court in the state, and there exists the subordinate courts at the district level. This is at the rate union, this is at the rate state, and this is at the rate district level. District is a part of state and the state is a part of union. Got it? Is like that. In system, there exist the union and the states. Union, that is part 5, chapter 4, under article 124 to 147. It's all about the Supreme Court of India. Then when it comes to state comes under part 6. There exists chapter 5 and under article 214 to 232, it's all about the High Court in the state. That is Supreme Court in union and union under over here. High Court in a state, that is there. We know that a state divided into various districts. So in this context or situation, if you look over here, district is a part of the state. So part 6, chapter 6, 5 is here and 6 is here. Under article 233 to 237 discuss about the subordinate courts in the districts. Subordinate courts in the districts. Got it? So this is the very constitutional status, the aspect of the Supreme Court, High Court and the subordinate court, the independent, impartial and integrated judicial system in India. Article 232 has got repealed, but then also it was in relation to the state high courts, thus mentioned over here 232. The very purpose of mentioning these articles over here is just that you must understand that if any article has been mentioned in the question, that article falls in which category or in which group of articles, so that you can better understand that the question is related to the Supreme Court, High Court or the subordinate court. For example, if question is about article 217, then it must be easy for you to recognize that 217 exists between 214 and 232, which is related to High Court. So 217 definitely will be in context to the High Court. So the options with Supreme Court and the subordinate court will no more be your answer. Okay, so that is the very purpose of the detailed explanation of this classification is. Now let's move on to the very historical aspect of the Indian judicial system, and then we will come in terms to define the things in relations to each other. Historical aspect. That is, if we look over here, there happens to be the federal court in India. Federal court in India. In context to the Government of India Act 1935. And this federal court means various high courts, means high courts enjoying the provision to take care of the union laws and the state laws, jurisdictions over union and jurisdiction over state laws, or the means both union and the states were being covered under the High Court. For example, if you look over there, example, there exists to be Calcutta High Court, Calcutta High Court, or the Madras High Court, Madras High Court, or the Bombay High Court. Then they were able to take care of the union laws as well as the Calcutta's jurisdictions law, both. So these high courts were taking care of both union and their union as well as their respected laws. Now, it happened in 1958, that is, then after, on 28th January 1950, Supreme Court was established as an apex court over high courts to serve union laws. Got it? To serve over the union laws or the central laws. Whose jurisdiction is going to be the territory of India? Jurisdiction over the territory of India. Territory of India. Got it?